Hey folks, this is Denise Dory and I am your host for this next 22 minutes. I'm pleased to be here. It's going to be some year with all the politics just, are just so overwhelming. And I got a chance to talk to Rob Bonta, the assemblyman out of Oakland, and about Prop 64. And he said this is the first news flash about what I've been up to since I was last on the air. And I talked to Rob Bonta and his assistant, myself. He came to the Milk Club meeting. And he seemed concerned about jail for cannabis and people being on the streets, smoking cannabis and being arrested. Because I launched into about a 5-minute explanation that can be found on my Twitter feed, what I had to say to him about it. And he seemed like he wanted to go along with what I said. It seemed like everything I was telling him was news to him, like Prop 64 money trail leads to the GOP and things like that. So he never called me back. I gave him my number. I gave him Shona's number, and I have yet to hear from him, and so I might have to just go to his office. Anyway, so now we need to be talking about, this time, a good topic for us is what to do during police encounters, because they're happening more and more. I live in the Tenderloin, and I see it all the time, and it really, really bugs me to see people telling the cops a bunch of things they don't need to be telling them. So the Rob Bonta video, check that out, and also check out my Twitter here. And so we're going to talk about civil rights as far as cops are concerned, which are usually involve your Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself, and your Fourth Amendment right to expectation of privacy, and that's a big gray area. Because what about tents? Do they have an expectation of privacy being on public property with the flaps closed? So I asked. That's a gray area. What seems like. So that's our our topic today is hints on how not to screw up police encounters, especially with more fines and jail for cannabis in California, including smoking outside. So just whatever. I'm going to test my white privilege on that one big time. So there's also information on my Twitter about how to report a homeless sweep in San Francisco. And there's the number 346-3740 right here. That's the number, or you can email Coalition on Homelessness. So that's there was a presentation about that by Street Sheet. And I always encourage you to buy a Street Sheet. I encourage you to buy a Street Sheet. It's honest reporting. Yeah. And it's actually entertaining too. And it's good to know what's happening right in the neighborhood, because we've got a lot of really cool characters in the Tenderloin. I love it there. I wouldn't live anywhere else. And until the yuppies take it over, then it'll just be like any other suburban sprawl city with a bedroom community and nothing much more, just compartments. So if you encounter, say you encounter a homeless person in crisis, well, they gave instructions about that, so you can watch this video, because I won't have time, and it'll be on the Axis of Love show tomorrow night. It'll actually be the third. It'll be the 21st of April. It'll be how to report homeless sweeps in San Francisco, because there's a way to do it, and I'm going to go into some of those details if there's time, and I'm sure there should be. So next we have your brain on marijuana is just fine. So that's more reason not to have Prop 64's doctor saying cannabis is bad to justify us paying taxes for alcoholics, because alcoholic's the real gateway substance. I have to keep saying this because no one else will. And, well, at least not in the media. So there's the phone number again. You had 346-3740. Take a picture of that with your phone so you can keep it with you in case you see a homeless encampment being swept. You can help those people. You can witness what happens. You can write down all the details, and then this is, I'm just going down the news stories, and we'll get more into the homeless encampment. So we got, I gave a message to Bernie Kratz. I wanted you to see my message to Bernie Kratz, who supported Prop 64 and a GOP agenda that goes with it. You know, more jail, all that kind of, you know, more fines, more, yeah. So they didn't read Prop 64. So I'm going to start going to their meetings. I urge everyone to flood Bernie Kratz meetings, you know, and start taking over these Democratic clubs, because otherwise the corporate people will take them over. So we have to occupy the Democratic clubs. So, and the Bernie Kratz, pissed off voters, all of them, you know, just they didn't read about the life sentence people get for selling a gram of weed more than twice. So when I talk myself, I talked to Dean Preston. So I'm, and he, because Dean Preston was at a meeting of Bernie Kratz, and they, you know, they think that he can do no wrong, which is Dean Preston's pretty cool actually. So too bad he lost the election, but. So Dean Preston was against Prop 64. All I had to do is get 2 sentences out, and he said, okay, I oppose it. But then the Bernie Kratz think that he's for it. So they think, you know, or something. So I posted to their page, and maybe they blocked me, maybe they didn't. But they can't stop me from going to their meetings. So, and other moderate Democrats, like the Tenants Union, progressives, real progressives, that aren't bought by corporate interests, the Tenants Union, the Bay Guardian, Sandra Fewer, Jane Kim, ABD6. Well, Jane Kim withdrew her endorsement, but I talked to Sandra Fewer about it. She said she was opposed to jail for weed, too. It's not legal. A lot of people can see through it, but a lot of people just saw oh, it's legal, man. So, anyway, has no wealth distribution. So, we'll see where we go with this. And so we wanted to support progressive legalization in 2018. Or 2020, Proposition Money Trail leads to GOP hedge funds, big oil, and private prison industry, which are not Bernie Sanders' values. And I guess a bunch of people shared that. I posted it twice. And we got, okay, next we have, let's get into this. Let's see, I got 12 minutes. So, now we got to talk about what to do during the more police encounters we're going to see with all these increased weed arrests. So this is, I went to a seminar, and plus I've got a lot of experience myself. I'm no stranger to police encounters. Yeah, and after a while, judges were looking at what I was being arrested for, and they said, why is she in here? You know, it's just for possession of a little bit of weed or whatever it was, and people are still I can't believe people are still going to jail for it, you know, now that Prop 64 passed. So it's unbelievable. We've got to, you know, I'm trying with every last breath to, you know, get it, to stop them putting us in jail for weed. This is my home state, and I'm not having it. You feel me? Now, homeless people are especially vulnerable to the police confrontations. They're very, you know, they're the most visible, of course, and the authorities, when what we can do as onlookers is take videos, of course, or stills, and just witness things, or start writing things down. If you don't have a phone, or just write things down, and you can let Coalition on Homelessness know. They were the ones who put it on, and Street Sheet. They sold street sheets there, so I got one. I always buy street sheets, usually, well, most of the time. Human Rights at cohsf.org. So, it's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Now, take that phone number down, put it in your phone. You know, take a picture of that for your phone, so you'll know who to contact when you see a sweep. Because you don't know how these people are going to get treated. And you also have to know which law enforcement agency is going to, say for instance, it could be the Department of Public Works, which is not really law enforcement. They just pick the stuff up. But I don't know, I haven't encountered them. But the police and the highway patrol they don't really have to interact with the public around here, so they're probably the meanest to encounter. And then there's the Caltrain workers, and so they most often come in contact with homeless folks. Sometimes folks go to the train station to use the bathroom. You know, they have nowhere where to use bathrooms because there aren't really any bathrooms in San Francisco. Not really. It's like in other states there's more bathrooms. We just don't have them. Weird. So just if you see somebody homeless and they look like they're in crisis, or they're look like they're in. Now this is just if they're in crisis without the police there. And just introduce yourself and just tell them you're from the community and you're not there to harass them. You're just there to help, really. Just tell them, ask them if there's anything you can do to help. And if they're having a psychiatric crisis where maybe, I don't know, they're cutting their wrists or doing, but don't call the cops. Please do not call the cops. So if they're, check out in with them. There's a mobile crisis line. And if they're unconscious, you know, you can call 911, but make clear it's a medical emergency. Make sure that they're aware that it's a medical emergency. And, you know, they made this Prop Q where people can't really be in tents anymore. And, I think it might be because of the expectation of privacy. They were trying to take it away by not allowing tents and making them more illegal, even though they were already illegal anyway. So when you talk to the cops, anything you tell them, they can use against you. You know, anything. So the main thing, you just say, I know my rights and I wish to remain silent and I wish to see a lawyer. And so the cops are legally required to stop questioning you after that. And what you do is, if you have your lawyer's name programmed in your phone, that's great if you're allowed to use your phone. You know, they might have already taken it from you. Who knows what? You might not even have the number on you. So it might be up to them to get a lawyer out, you know, from the public defender's office to come and represent you as a defendant before you're even arrested. So, or after. And they need probable cause to even stop you, you know. And you don't have to, the cops might not read your rights to you, so don't wait for them to read your rights, because they might not read them, you know. They're just, you never know. Don't assume. And they're law enforcement agencies legally, they're allowed to lie to you. They're allowed to tell you lies. So that's messed up too. And don't sign anything. All you want to do is remain silent, and you want to see a lawyer, and that's it. Don't sign anything without showing it to your lawyer first. When the lawyer gets there, then if the lawyer says to sign it, then you do what the lawyer says, more likely. And if they try to search you, I see a lot of this in the Tenderloin, you know. I've got a street side window, I see everything. And sometimes it's more interesting than what's on TV. Just tell them you don't consent to a search, you know, because I've got a video, we've got about 8,000 views. I'm not going to show it now, there really isn't time, but I'll show it another time. The cops will sometimes try to get your camera from you, like they did us. I had it on camera that they were punching this guy in the back of the neck. It's on my YouTube, just scroll down, Denise Dory. And the cop, when they saw themselves being filmed, asked to they tried to get in my building and take my camera. And the saving grace was the lady at the desk knew her rights, knew our rights, and did not allow the police up without a warrant. So that was cool. That's why we didn't get our video confiscated in the first place. So that those things happen. You know, the cops will try to take your camera, and they're not really get a video of them. They have enough people they can take everyone's camera, really. And it might not stop them from searching you, you know, but you could get the evidence thrown out in court later, especially if it's on video. You know. Then, you know, video like ask Rodney King. He's one of the few people to get 2 million for getting beaten up, even though, well, I don't agree with it. But people take a lot less. They take a lot more for nothing. You know, I got what 2 million. So that was on because it was someone took videos. You know, and oh, and by the way, that case where the man was assaulted by the police in front of my window, they didn't do anything to the cops. I'll bring that another time, because it was the Office of Citizens Complaints. So you can contact the Office of Citizens Complaints if you see officer misconduct, and the Office of Citizens Complaints is on 25 Van Ness Avenue, and you can fill out a report. Supposedly they're supposed to have more power now. We'll see what happens with that. And you should never resist the cops. Never resist them. I made that mistake when I actually fell asleep in the back of my car. I had to get up and go to work, you know, and I wanted to sleep rather than drive with alcohol in my system, so I just slept in the car. I woke up and I was being pulled over. Somebody actually started my car. I guess someone knew my car started with a screwdriver. But anyway, so I was driving my car, and I had cops from 2 different cities grab each arm. And so all I did was go like that, and I got an assault charge. And luckily I beat it, because you needed 2 witnesses back there. They were credible witnesses. But, you know, that doesn't always happen, you know. But if you even try to resist, they'll bust you for assaulting them, you know. The cops will. So, and there's all kinds of stuff there's so many ways to get arrested in so little time. So just be careful, and you know, your hands, you know, you got to keep your hands where they can see them, you know, and if you haven't been able to stash things before they saw you. So anyway, don't resist, and you could get charged with assault, which I did, but I beat that case, luckily, but it's still on my record. That's the problem, you know, because even if you get arrested for something really awful, you know, because the cops didn't like me. I was arrested 9 times for 9 felonies that I really didn't do. They'd bust you for a simple possession of weed or something, then add all these conspiracy charges, and pretty soon, you know, I had 9 felonies. And, you know, I don't want another one. And so this is what I'm saying. This is why I feel so strongly about the police. You know, I lost a family member to the cops. They killed my dad in Oakland. And so I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But if the cops have to have a search warrant if they're at your house, you know, and you want witnesses to hear when you say you're not consenting to a search, you know, and the more people that gather around, the better. And so there might be a technical problem with the warrant, you know, but if the cops might have a search warrant, you know, and it's true for your car, your body, your garage, your house, anything, your tent. I don't know about the tent part. See, I asked Petra de Jesus of the police commission, and she wasn't sure. So you don't consent to a search. Keep saying it loudly, and they might have the warrant too. So you just have to keep your hands in view, make no sudden movements, avoid passing behind police officers, nervous cops, or dangerous cops, and also never touch the police or their equipment. And take notes. Write down their names, IDs, and physical descriptions. Get as many specific details about the incident as you can. And get names and contact information of any witnesses. Cameras and cell phones are great for observing cops, too. And keep that sucker charged up. And keep a big... if you want to take videos with your cell phone, you've got to have a big enough card, which I don't, so I've got to buy one. You know, invest in a card. Now, oh, and I went to Relief Center. Here's some more news. I went to the Relief Center, and they told me that giveaways, they'd be fined if they gave stuff away, if they gave away cannabis. So how stupid! This Prop 64 has got to go. It's got to go. We can't. We ain't having it, are we? Are we? So let me tell you about. Let's see. I had some notes, because I want to say that, urge you to watch Frank Molinaro's show on next Thursday. It would be on the 20th or would it be? Anyway, it's next Thursday at 5 p.m. and he gives a really good readings. I'm very impressed with his abilities. And also, I urge you to adopt a shelter pet over on Alabama Street. And when you have an encounter, remember, don't get too nervous and scared, but remember there's people that care, and just do all those things that I told you, and it should be all right. I'm really, adamant about that. We need to stick together. Now just check out my videos, and you'll be able to see on my YouTube instructions for how to deal with homeless encampment sweeps.